Bellovesus, the Pathfinder. Welcome to the living timeline, where history doesn't just flow through the pages, but lives again through every story. Today, we tell the tale of Bellovesus, the Pathfinder, the man who led his people across the Alps and carved the first path into a new world. Some stories begin with great leaders, mighty warriors, but there are also tales of those who silently carve their own way, venturing where no one dares to tread. Bellovesus is one such figure, a name once forgotten, yet the key to unlocking a new future for his people. His origins remain shrouded in mystery, and he never sought glory. He embarked on his journey driven by an unquenchable inner flame, a force that defied the confines of tradition and expected fate. At a time when the tribes of Gaul were thriving, unrestrained by the limitations of land and resources, their territory eventually grew crowded and internal conflicts began to emerge. Ambigatus, the king of the Bituriges, saw the growing unease in his people's eyes. He recognized that Gaul could not progress if it remained confined within the borders that had nurtured them for generations. Yet, the answer did not come from councils or ancient prophecies. It came from one solitary decision. Bellovesus turned his gaze to the south, toward lands untouched by Gaulish feet. No one could pinpoint the precise reason behind his choice. Perhaps it was a deep-seated belief in a new future, a future where survival demanded fresh beginnings. He was not seeking conquest or fame, but a new way of life for his people. When Bellovesus resolved to lead his people across the formidable Alps, the journey became a test of both body and spirit. The towering mountains loomed like unyielding walls, cloaked in dense snow and besieged by winds that cut like blades. With no clear path or guide, only the dark, relentless nights and the raw force of nature accompanied him. Yet, the unwavering faith of Bellovesus and his followers lit the way. As they ventured through the dense, mysterious forests of the Ligurians, eerie sounds echoed in the night and dangers loomed at every turn. Every step, however uncertain, served to fortify their determination never to retreat. In the quiet solitude of those long nights, Bellovesus would stand at the front, his eyes fixed on an uncertain horizon, driven by a belief in the promise of something better ahead. After enduring countless hardships, Bellovesus and his people finally emerged from the harsh cold of the Alps to enter the fertile valley of the Padus. This new land was expansive and vibrant, a tableau of green fields, meandering rivers, and a climate that whispered of ancient civilizations. Here, one could almost sense the lingering presence of the Etruscans, who had once flourished in these regions for centuries. The landscape was alive with possibility. The lush fields, the rustle of crops in the breeze, and small native settlements all painted a picture of renewal. Yet, the promise of this land came with its own set of challenges. The native tribes, the Etruscans and the Ligurians, proud of their heritage and long-standing traditions, were reluctant to yield their territory. In this crucible of cultures, the battle was not only fought with weapons, but also for the right to forge a new cultural identity. Bellovesus saw beyond immediate survival. He envisioned this place as the gateway to an enduring civilization. He recognized that blending the indomitable spirit of the Gauls with the rich cultural heritage of the land could lay the foundation for a prosperous future. The struggles that ensued were both a fight for territory and a contest of values, a battle to assert a new identity in the heart of an ancient landscape. With victory over the initial trials, Bellovesus turned his focus to building a lasting legacy. Believing that survival required both strength and wisdom, he devoted himself to creating alliances and learning from the cultural legacy of the region. He eagerly absorbed insights from the Etruscans, pioneers in architecture, art, and civic organization, and envisioned a new community that blended these traditions with the fierce independence of the Gauls. Cities began to rise from the foundation he set. Mediolanum, which would later become Milan, Ticinum, modern-day Pavia, and Brixia, Brescia, emerged not just as fortresses, but as thriving centers of trade and culture. Each structure, each pathway carved out of stone, was a testament to the determination and collaborative spirit of his people. In building these cities, Bellovesus was not merely erecting walls, but forging a communal identity, a home where the Gauls would grow both materially and spiritually. This legacy was rooted in the understanding that true strength lay in unity and shared purpose. The alliances he built and the cultural exchanges he encouraged helped shape a resilient community prepared to face future challenges. Bellovesus' vision extended beyond the battlefield. He dreamed of a civilization built on cooperation, inspired by the lessons of history and the promise of renewal. At the edge of the Padus River, as dusk draped the landscape in a cloak of quiet resolve, Bellovesus gathered with the tribal leaders for a moment of solemn unity. They did not meet to merely celebrate a military victory, but to forge an oath that would guide them into the future. In the soft murmur of the flowing river, they vowed to protect the hard-won land and to uphold the values that had defined their struggle: strength, unity, and an unyielding pursuit of freedom. In that profound silence, the river's gentle murmur seemed to echo their heartfelt promises, a vow that would be carried forward across generations. This was not a pledge bound solely to the defense of territory. It was an affirmation of a new way of life, a commitment to nurture a collective soul that would endure beyond individual triumphs. Bellovesus, in that crucial moment, demonstrated that leadership is measured not only on the battlefield, but also in the power to inspire and instill a shared destiny. The oath by the river was more than a promise. It was a foundational stone upon which the future of the Gauls was built, a legacy of courage and steadfast belief in a better tomorrow. Bellovesus was not a conventional king or famed conqueror. He was a Pathfinder, a man who carved a new way for his people through vision, unwavering spirit, and the determination to venture into the unknown. His legacy is defined not by the grandeur of his conquests or the opulence of the cities he built, but by the initial, uncertain steps that set a people on the path to greatness. The trail he forged lives on as a timeless reminder. Sometimes the most influential leaders are those courageous enough to traverse the roads that no one else dares to follow.